Tonight we going hard, lights, magic sparks. You might come past across the 6-4 chick living on bright spots with a shot. You thought that's Candace Bone. She may be a lady kitty, past the Christy, cool as the AC, the ice princess, don't let the fan. She grabbing like a sign on the phone, she take risks. WNBA is walking, loving the best 'cause they all play. Tonight we going hard, light it up in the dark, back to back time.
Well, good evening, WNBA and LA Sparks fans, and welcome in to the LA Sparks 365 Network, your 24/7, 365 comprehensive home of the WNBA and your two-time WNBA champion Los Angeles Sparks. Credit is due where credit is due, folks. Of course, the 2014 Sparks intro song, We Go On Hard, written by LA rappers Rankin J, courtesy of those two gentlemen for the tremendous work this past season, giving the Sparks a brand new identity with the pregame intros. Of course, folks, welcome to the LA Sparks 365 Network, of course, here, folks, on Sparkling Overseas, the off-season show of record. But, folks, something's a bit different tonight. There is no more FaceTime. Joining us in the hangout tonight, you know him very well, folks. I know you love him, and you missed him dearly when he was on FaceTime. Some of you may have missed him. That would be Chris Woodmansey from the 8 and Heart Studios in Anaheim, California. Chris, good evening. I can see your face again. How's it going, man?
I'm just so excited to be back on the Sparks Network. Rabalon, just felt awesome. And now, since I'm working, officially now at College Junior, just can't get any better.
Yeah, Chris, it can't get much better now. Again, folks, we still have the Calinator robot voice going on, so again, we have to use our mic here. But I did, folks, find a loophole we could have probably used a while back, which was changing the output volume on my computer desk from my headphones to the speaker, but it is what it is. But, Chris, well, man, it's been a while since we've had you in here. I know that you were on here, but courtesy of this thing right here, you were on there, but not in the hangout. But, Chris, I know, man, it's been a long time since we've been on here. I know that we're doing a lot of other things, and folks get you wondering about that black tape. That is where my dark blue background goes for the Lakers Network. Again, folks, we've been doing the Lakers, though, too. Courtesy of Chris, it was his idea over the offseason to do the Lakers as well. But we've been over there, folks, which is why we have not been able to bring you folks our new shows yet of Angel Sparks. Open Court is coming very soon. We're working on a few things with that. But more so, folks, it's been more so about the technical faults we've been having, but we'll worry about that later. But, Chris, here we are, man, over the offseason, sparkling overseas. Chris, 8 LA Sparks have left Los Angeles and have joined their international ball clubs to begin the pursuit of the EuroLeague championship. This is show number 2, folks, of Sparkling Overseas. Again, folks, the 8 players that are overseas playing right now go as follows. Furia Abdi with Wisla Canpak, Nikki Green with Ratman Hasharon and Hasharon Israel, Sandrine Gruda, Candace Parker, Christy Tolliver over with UMMC Ekaterinburg, Lindsay Harding with Edrine Spore and Edrine Turkey, Jantel Lavender with Wisla Canpak, and Neka Ogumake with Dynamo Kursk in Kursk, Russia. The beginning of EuroLeague play marked not only the start of 6 months of exciting international basketball action, but the UMMC debut of Christy Tolliver as the guard became the 8th member of the Los Angeles Sparks to sparkle overseas. Folks, the latest update goes as follows from the LA Spark from LASparks.com. Play has continued this week as Jantel Lavender, Furia Abdi, and Canpak defeated Neka Ogumake and Dynamo Kursk today. With the statement victory, Wesley keeps pace with Tolliver, Parker, and Gruda in Egamka. Here is how each member of the Sparks has performed over the past week and what is to come for the road ahead. The first team we'll talk about here is Furia Abdi and Jantel Lavender with Wisla Canpak in Poland. A 68-55 victory at Good Angels Kosuke on November 5th tipped off Wisla's EuroLeague schedule with a win and ran off its 6th in a row overall, crowning Polish league play. Lavender and Abdi each started the EuroLeague opener with the former contributing game highs of 22 and 13. Abdi, who had played for Good Angels in 2013 and 14, added 15 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists in her first start since joining Wisla. Whistler kept its momentum going 3 days later with an 81-56 home win versus AZSUMCS behind 19 points and a game-high 11 boards from Lavender, who played in just under 22 minutes. Abdi added 4 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist today. And today, Whistler used the second-half comeback in big fourth quarter to pull away from Dynamo Kursk as Abdi scored a team-high 18 points in a 77-62 victory over Kursk. On the year, the defending champs have won 7 of 8 matchups by 18 or more points. Well, Chris, Canpack has been a team that's been very good lately in the Polish league. But, Chris, I want to more so talk about Faria Abdi first. The only reason I say Faria first, Chris, again, we know about her playing time struggles. Again, we know that she's not seen a whole lot of points since being drafted a few years ago. And last season, things very poor time at Chris. This is something, though, Chris, that Shorty Mama told me last night off air was, it seems like, and I think, though, Chris, that Crystal Thomas also told us this tonight, is it seems like Abdi has not really made that fluid transition from international play to the W just yet. But again, man, if you develop her at least and give her time, she's going to be fine. But Chris, seeing though that Abdi again, Chris, who did not start a lot last year, Chris, seeing her play so great right now at this point in time, what is this saying about her in the future, going to her third year next year in Los Angeles? Again, Chris, we know again about her not playing a lot. But can the overseas game, though, if she makes that transition, Chris, if she brings that overseas game back to L.A., will she finally see more minutes next year with Los Angeles? Or what is her future, basically, Chris, after what we have talked about over the past minutes here about that great overseas play? What are your thoughts, though, about Faria Abdi's future in Los Angeles right now?
If you bring her playing that she's doing overseas, I think she'd probably get more playing time in Los Angeles with Sparks.
And, Chris, I think that she's a body that L.A. needs to come off the bench, I think, when she does get that game back. And then, Chris, Jantel Lavender, one of our great friends who just recently followed the network on her birthday a few days ago, Chris, still dominating, Chris. I mean, Chris, it looked like when Lav got put in the starting lineup last year, things changed. I mean, with her presence down low, playing at center, we know that there's some problems with Parker and NECA playing at the forward, and they're not really gelling well right now. But Chris, Chris, it looked like, though, when Lav got put in the starting mix, things changed. And I don't know if it was for the good part or the bad part, but Chris, a lot of people said that last year had to be her breakout season. Chris, did she have her breakout year last year? Because I think, man, she played phenomenal basketball last year. Again, when she got into the starting lineup, Chris, was last year her breakthrough season, or what do you think? What would you say though about her season last year with Los Angeles, and why?
I think last year pretty much looked like her breakout year with the Sparks. I think if she carry it overseas, and she probably next year with the Sparks get even more great.
Chris, I think that after Lav last year, man, I think that she basically solidified herself, Chris, as a starter last year. I think when she came off the bench, she really wasn't all in the game. She had foul trouble quite often coming off the bench, Chris. So I think, though, with her starting, that gives her more confidence, I think, going forward towards next season. Then there is the big three of Sandrine Gruda, Candace Parker, and Christy Tolliver playing with Powerhouse Club UMMC Ekaterinburg, with Tolliver's 5.4 rebound debut in Ekat's opener on November 5th. All three Sparks took the court together for the first time since the conclusion of the WNBA season. Parker and Gruda seemed energized by the guards' debut as each posted double-doubles in the visitors' 77-71 victory at USK Prague to move to 1-0 in EuroLeague play and 4-0 already in Russian League games. Ekat rallied with a 26-14 or 26-12 fourth quarter advantage to secure the victory. Parker had her best effort thus far with 22 points and a game-high 12 rebounds, while Gruda tallied 14, 10, and a team-high 4 assists. Ekat would also win their game yesterday against Lats Montpelier in Montpelier yesterday as well. And Chris, we'll go to Gruda first, man. And Sandrine off the bench last year. Again, man, her first full year since she left Connecticut in 2007 when she went to play overseas. Chris, again, man, her first year back, looked like, man, that she kind of took a few steps backwards because her play last year was pretty subpar last year. Again, she had a couple of big shots though, but again, man, it was trying. It looked like though, man, she was trying to get her rhythm back because we know she had not played for those first few years when she was with the Sun. Went to play over in Russia, but came back, Chris, because of Parker. Chris, do you think that it was maybe that it was probably that one bad year, I guess you can say, about Gruda having that rough season last year again? Not a lot of minutes, foul trouble, poor shooting game sometimes, Chris. Was it more so that she was, again, Chris, sort of, one step ahead, but then two steps backwards when she left a few years ago for Russia, or what do you think probably went wrong? What do you think and why?
I think she probably didn't have her great season. Last season was Sparks. But I think if she can gain that attitude and do really great overseas and just bring it next year with the Sparks.
Then, of course, Chris, there's my best friend. There is Ace 3, Candace Parker. Chris, again, we know about her coming off the knee surgery over the offseason, my interview with her, that I've still been talking about since September 26th. But, Chris, in spite of the surgery, man, hey, the surgery, yeah, man, but she comes back and she doesn't miss a beat. I mean, it's more so a carryover, Chris. She has 22 points and a game-high 12 rebounds. Struggled a bit in their last game at Latch. She only had 7 points, and again, probably a tough shooting night for Candace. But again, Chris, it seems like, man, that even though she went down with that knee injury, she comes back, man, and just, it's like right back on track. I mean, there's like nothing that's like in her way that stops her play, man. Okay, knee surgery, Chris, misses the FIBA tournament, Chris, goes overseas and just goes back to pure domination, man. Is there like, Chris, any way you can stop Candace Parker from playing how she plays, man? Again, it doesn't matter, Chris, if it's WNBA, FIBA, or over in Russia, Chris. I mean, she can take a day off, Chris, and come back and take it to the woodshed, Chris. How do you think, though, that after seeing her come back from that knee injury, Chris, how has her play been, though, coming off that off-season knee injury, and why? I said, how do you think Parker has played since coming back off of her knee surgery, and why?
I think she's Parker, and nothing can stop her.
Yeah, nothing can stop her. Yeah, and that's why I've used the hashtag sometimes on the network Twitter handle, hashtag Parker being Parker, because she just doesn't get stopped at any point in time. Then, Chris, there is the player that sort of had some controversy amongst the fan base last year, which is Kristi Toliver. Chris, again, KT leaving from Dynamo Moscow last year to come and play with the powerhouse of Ekaterinburg. And again, Chris, I only said back in October, late last month, Chris, I only said that KT had not played so much, Chris, or had not played yet, was because she could have been probably beat and wiped out from all the travel she did, Chris, during the summer. Again, coming to L.A., or I should say, Chris, leaving from Moscow, getting to L.A. on media day over the offseason, leaving in June for Slovakia, coming home, going back to Slovakia, then, Chris, coming back home, then going back to Russia, Chris. I think, man, Olaf Lang did it right here. Again, it was sort of letting her catch her breath, because, again, man, she probably racked up so many flyer miles, it was pathetic, man. I mean, again, from Moscow to L.A. on team media day, then from L.A. to Slovakia in June, back to Los Angeles, gone again, season ends, 2 weeks off, then back to Russia, Chris. Chris, do you think, though, that Olaf Lang and the coach staff, Chris, did they do the right thing, though, Chris, by allowing Toliver to catch her breath because they know about all the miles she logged in her body from traveling all over the world, basically, before the season and then during the season? What do you think?
Yeah, I think just too many miles, going from overseas, then going back to Los Angeles, and then going again back overseas.
Yeah, man. I mean, Chris, it takes a toll on your body, man. I mean, I can totally, concur 100%, Chris, because I remember when I first played international baseball, Chris, I had gone from here to the Bay Area to play one tournament. I came home for a day, Chris. It was a bus trip to LAX and a 16-hour flight from here to Japan and a 6-hour bus ride from one city to another city, Chris. Played a week there and then flying back from Japan to Los Angeles, back to San Diego, and then going to play in Las Vegas the next week, man. So I know how tough it is racking up those frequent flyer miles on your credit card. And Chris, there is one of your best friends out there. That would be Neka Agumake playing with Dynamo Kursk in Russia. Dynamo Kursk was the final team to tip off its EuroLeague schedule when it traveled of course, when they traveled to play Wisla Canpact to face Lavender and Abdi in an imposing Wisla Canpact yesterday. Wisla proved too tough, though, as it held off the visitors by the final score of 77-62, despite Neka recording a game-high 24 points. The forward is leading all Russian league players in scoring at 22.5 points per game, pulling down 9 rebounds, good for second-place tie. And Kursk is 3-1 in Russian league play and 0-1 in EuroLeague action. Also, which we should mention, that Neka has been named the EuroLeague Player of the Week for her play. Chris, again, Neka had that great season, and sort of, Chris, you could say co-MVP or maybe second place team MVP behind Candace Parker, Chris. But again, this year, man, was probably her best year out of all of her years, Chris. Her rookie year last year, Chris, she had the 35-point game against Tulsa, and of course, Chris, when Parker went down for a couple games, she was right there to carry over, to take over the captain's role for that game, Chris. And again, man, her great play this week. She's been named EuroLeague Player of the Week, Chris. But again, man, it's more so, can you continue to play this way when it counts the most over the summer, though, not more so when it is here. But again, Chris, one little minor flop there for Kursk, losing that game to Lav and Abdi. But again, Chris, Neka game-high points, Chris, Player of the Week, man. What else can you say about how well she's played so far at least during this week so far for Dynamo Kursk?
I think Neka Agumake will probably just keep going hard and overseas and carry it over where it matters in summer with the Sparks and the dynamic duo of Parker and Agumake.
Yeah, Chris, that dynamic duo came on pretty flush last year. They're going to be a presence to be known and presence to be reckoned with sometime soon. And Chris, the other rookie, Nikki Green, is playing with Ramon Harishin over in Israel. Ramon Harishin has dropped its third contest in 4 tries on Monday when they lost 66-51 at the hands of Hapoel Rishnim Lizayon. Despite Nikki having another strong performance by Green that included her third straight double-digit rebounding performance, Harishin converted just 15 of 52 from the field. They shot 28%. And Nikki finished with 6 points, 10 rebounds, and a team-high 2 blocks in the loss, and is now averaging 9.3 points and team highs in rebounds at 10.3 and 1.3. Well, Chris, this is sort of a diamond in the rough, I guess, because Chris, that Nikki Green saw maybe as much time as Luke Walton saw in his Lakers career, Chris, playing time-wise. But Chris, but though, man, I know you're laughing about Luke Walton in that reference, Chris, but at the same time, man, it's a diamond in the rough because you found someone, Chris, that could get a clutch rebound for you late in the ball game. Nikki Green has brought down 10.3 rebounds per game, Chris, and again, we never got to saw it transpire, Chris, because she never really played. But again, Chris, this is where Abdi and Green's careers, or Sparks' careers, Chris, kind of are in the same boat because they're playing good overseas. But again, Chris, they haven't been able to transition their overseas game to the WNBA just yet. But Chris, knowing though, man, that Nikki Green has been doing well rebounding-wise, Chris, would you kind of give her, or would you kind of feel confident, I guess, in a tight game, late in the season, and you need a big rebound, Chris, would you trust having Nikki Green in the ball game to get that clutch rebound for you? And also, Chris, what would you say, though, about her playing, though, right now as well, knowing again, man, that we didn't get to see her play a lot this past season because of, the rookie stage, but also, Chris, that she's played so well over there, though, again, man, it's a question again, can she bring it back over to Los Angeles when it counts the most in the summer? Go for it.
Yeah, I think she probably could carry it over from overseas to the WNBA. I think she could do it.
Yeah, I think, Chris, again, man, it's a matter of time of, when will you let these rookies play, these young kids play at this point in time. Then, of course, Chris, there's your other best friend. There's Lindsey Harding playing over with Idran Spor in Turkey. In Harding's first 3 Turkish League games, The guard has totaled 39, 40, and 40 minutes. Most recent outing on Sunday at Cannock Bede, though, ended in victory, Idrin's first of the season. Harding finished with 12 points, 5 rebounds, and a team-high 4 assists while combining with former Sparks and current Indiana Fever guard Marissa Coleman to convert 15 of 15 free throws. Harding is 15 of 16 from the charity stripe, shooting 93.8%, and leads the team in assists and steals per game. Well, Chris, like I said, though, about Lindsay last time out here, Chris, is again, it was that one bad season. You know, she had lost her confidence, lost her shot, lost her mojo, where she got demoted from the starting line, Chris, to the bench here, and again, just again, man, that one bad year. But again, Chris, it's another point in time, man, again, where Lindsay, Lindsay hurt herself last year by not going overseas. She stayed behind last year to help out with the Sparks at the food bank, at the press conference last year when the Sparks were bought by Magic. Where, Chris, again, it was just that bad season. And again, Chris, does this really surprise me about Lindsay, Chris? No, because she's logged that many minutes with the Sparks. And, of course, Chris, free throws don't surprise me. Assists sure as hell don't surprise me. Nor does the steals per game assist surprise me either, Chris. But, oh, man, are you surprised at all by those numbers by LH10? Or, Chris, also, man, what do you think that went wrong for her last year? Again, was it that she had lost confidence, lost her faith in her shot? Or what was it that went, or what was it that went wrong for her last year, and why?
I think she lost her confidence and everything. Being on the bench, not as a starter. I think she just lost her confidence being as a bench player, not as a starter. I think she just seems lost out there.
Yeah, Chris, I think, like we said, though, man, every player gets that one bad, has that one bad season. That was the case with Harding last year. Chris, I'm sure she'll be back better than ever next year when she does resign with LA. But again, folks, we will have another Sparkling Overseas show next week. But before we do that, before you come up, some quick notes here again. Folks, even though the Sparks season has come to a halt, you can, of course, stay connected with your Sparks on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, and in your email inbox. Like the Sparks on Facebook at facebook.com/LA Sparks. Follow the Sparks on Twitter at LA_Sparks, and follow the team on Instagram as well at LA_Sparks, and follow the team on Pinterest. Submit them on YouTube at youtube.com/user/the Los Angeles Sparks, and of course sign up for the LA Sparks email inbox beyond the Arkansas official Sparks newsletter, delivered directly to your email inbox every week as well. And of course, folks, now is the time to ignite your passion for your 2015 LA Sparks, and time to get those season tickets for next year. Of course, folks, Sparks 24/7 members get year-round benefits, ticket exchange program, single-game tickets at members' prices, no processing fees, early access to playoff tickets, a discount at Team LA store, and so much more. Season seats, folks, begin as low as $192. To get your season seats next year, call 844-GO-SPARKS, 844-GOSPARKS, or send them an email at tickets@la-sparks.com. Chris, real quick, man, we're going to be here for a few more minutes here, but Chris, with it going to, with us being in November, Chris, going towards December, then, Chris, there is January 2015. Chris, we're going to be having a month-long recap and revisit of last year's offseason during the entire month of January, all the way to February 5th, folks. We'll be though, folks, sometime sooner again. Folks don't know, but it was these two buffoons in this hangout that saved the Sparks in Los Angeles this past season. Folks, that will be Ado Sparks. The Ado Sparks, we'll have Ado Sparks, folks, in January to begin rehashing what could have been the end of the WNBA and perhaps the end of the Los Angeles Sparks with our Sparks Watch 2015 or Sparks Watch 2014 off-season recap extravaganza. The entire month of January, all the way to February 5th when the Sparks were bought by Magic Johnson. And Chris, with that, man, I brought this to your attention, Chris, a few days ago on Facebook, that there is another petition campaign across the WNBA right now. Folks, in case you've not heard, there is news right now about the Washington Mystics possibly being kicked out of the Verizon Center by Monumental Sports to a brand new 5,000-seat facility. Chris, unfortunately, man, I know we said it, Chris, but unfortunately, they don't have the right people orchestrating that petition, Chris. But again, man, it is what it is, Chris, about a petition, the WNBA, Chris. But again, I hate to see it, Chris, to be fair, and Chris, I know that we love all the fans out there, but Chris, you got to get the right people to do a petition for the WNBA, right?
Yeah, you gotta get the right people to help.
So again, folks, we'll have more about we will have more about that at a later time and date. But folks, again, a reminder here again, even though the Sparks season has ended, again, folks, reminder that you can, of course, follow your Sparks across social media, folks. Again, the Sparks are across Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, and they are also sparkling in your email inbox. Like the Sparks on Facebook, facebook.com/LA Sparks, on Twitter at LA_Sparks, and on Instagram at LA_Sparks. Follow the team on Pinterest, on YouTube at youtube.com/user/the Los Angeles Sparks. And of course, subscribe to the Sparks email newsletter as well, the Beyond the Arc news. And also, folks, new for next year again, folks, will be the Sparks Family 4-Pack. If you're looking to spend a night out with your family, the LA Sparks Family 4-Pack are on sale now for any of the Sparks 17 home games next season. All Family 4-Packs come with 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 sodas, and 1 large popcorn for the price of $99. Get yours today again, folks, of course, by calling 844-GO-SPARKS or fill out the form online at lasparks.com. Now, Chris, real quick, man, before we do get ready to close out here, man, I know that that 2 weeks ago, Chris, we had the emotional game played on the 2nd of this month, Chris, which was Lauryn Hill, the girl that was diagnosed with DIPG, Chris, and again only has X amount of time to live, man. A very, very somber day for the entire WNBA and women's basketball community to watch that game on Fox Sports West and Fox Sports 1, Chris. And I know, man, that I sat here on the 30th and was really emotional and got teared up a little bit at talking about this, Chris, because again, man, here's a player, Chris, that, has, gutted her whole life to be where she's at, man. And to have this disease, Chris, and to be told that you're only going to be able to live for the next few months, Chris, was, very tough to talk about, Chris. And again, I was a bit choked up and a bit sad about this, Chris. But Chris, when you probably caught the game or you heard about it, Chris, how depressed were you, or how sad were you, I should say? And again, folks, it looks like Chris, for the folks who went pretty good there, Chris did though have a small problem perhaps with his computer now, folks. Again, Chris did just get a new computer, by the way, so that's why he was in here for so long without having any intrusion. But again, with Chris having some problems, though, he will hop back in here sometime in a second. But again, folks, if you not catch it, folks, again, the great story that was Lauryn Hill's game, that was the hashtag One More for Lauryn across social media. We'll get Chris back on here in just a moment, folks. But again, the game was played, and it was a very, very well-done product for the WNBA and women's basketball community to see that happen during the course of last week. But again, folks, Lauryn Hill, again, a player diagnosed with DIPG, a rare brain disorder, only has X amount of months to live, and was able to play her last game, her first and probably last game ever in her career. But with that, folks, a reminder here again that the Sparks once more are overseas. Folks, we will have we will have our next update for you folks about the overseas season coming up next week. But Chris, we go back to you, man. Chris, when you probably heard about Lauryn Hill's last game and you saw the game, Chris, what was your thought though about seeing this athlete, Chris, that has worked so hard to get where she's at, man? And again, to know, man, that Lauryn will be probably gone sometime very soon, Chris. What was your thought though about seeing how everybody in the women's basketball community, Chris, rallied around her for her last game, Chris? How cool is that to see, man? And also, what was your thoughts, though, about that game, too, as well, a couple weeks ago up over there at Cintas Center on the campus of the University of Xavier? What was it, and go for it?
Just very touched to hear Lauryn Hill's story and everything. That she only has a few months to live, and just to see her play a college game is very awesome and everything.
Chris, I thought it was fantastic, though, man, that, as you told me, man, that EA Sports dedicated a special cover of NBA Live 15 to Lauryn Hill. She was on the Wheaties box that same week. You know, Pat Summitt was at her game, Chris. And again, man, also, and not only Chris was it so fun to watch, though, it was also, Chris, you know, how every WNBA player, Chris, you know, said, you know, next year is for you, Chris. And again, man, you know, it's something, man, that I talked about here last time we were here, Chris, again, was, you know, I recall so much, you know, when I was talking to Candace Wiggins a few weeks ago, Chris, about, you know, her reaction hearing about Tony Wynn's pass, Chris, and again, to know that she was more sad about Tony's passing than her own father's passing, Chris, and that without her getting very emotional talking about those 2 points in her life, Chris, you know, it's tough for her, Chris, to, you know, talk about those without her getting very emotional. And, Chris, that's how I felt here a few weeks ago. That's how I felt, though, last week. Talking about this was, you know, here's, you know, Chris, you know, and here's an average, an average girl, you know, who's played her, has played her sport her whole career, Chris, gets to live her dream in college, Chris, but again, man, you know, something pops up like this, and Chris, to know though, man, that, you know, her, you know, that she's gonna be, you know, dead and buried and gone, you know, in the very near future, Chris, is very depressing, Chris. And I even said, though, man, that I had worked my first soccer game the night before her game was played, and I recall saying, Chris, that, you know, that her number 22, Chris, the Sockers have already retired that number, Chris. But I didn't even think about the guy that wore that number, Chris. I thought about Lauren Hill all night. I was working whenever I saw that number. You know, it wasn't Julie V, Chris. It was Lauren Hill's night on November 1st of the game I was working at. But again, Chris, so great to see. But also, man, again, so much great things with that. You know, so much, you know, great stuff with that. Of course, that occurred last week and everything else included. But Chris, so happy to be back here, man. I know we've been covering the Lakers, and it's been tough to talk about the Lake Show, Chris, because they've been playing bad. And also, man, that you got booted out of that network by a couple of people doing some of the things behind the scenes. But, Chris, you're not out of here, man. You're still on the broadcast team here, Chris. We're not going to be doing what you told me you wanted to do, Chris. We're not doing any of that yet, or probably not going to be doing whatever you told me earlier tonight, Chris, because we need you on here, not off camera doing other nonsense. But with that, folks, that is a wrap for Sparkling Overseas here tonight. We'll be back with you folks next week with another recap of the overseas seasons. With that, folks, until next week, have a safe night. Drive home safely. Thank you all for coming, and good night. Now, this has been the LA Sparks 365 Network. We are Sparks. We are LA. We are the WNBA. We'll see you folks next week with another exciting edition of Sparkling Overseas for Chris Manti in Anaheim in the Hangout. Tom McClurgan, San Diego, saying good night. See you folks then, and bye-bye.